Justin, thanks for coming back on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So you, several years back, you came on the podcast, really good episode, great feedback. Had you at our conference earlier this year. And I want to say, absolutely, I think you were one of the most standout speakers with some of your comments that you made. But there was something to the effect of, people stopped, what was it? There was something you said, people stopped inbreeding, or we figured out that was a bad thing to do. But I think I can just remember the crowd laughing, but.
Yeah, so it wasn't around inbreeding, but we used to marry our cousins.
Oh, we used to marry our cousins. That's it.
We don't do that anymore. You took it to another level there, but so change management is difficult, right? And we get a lot of, well, that's not the way we do it here. Well, we used to marry our cousins. We don't do that anymore. So yeah, it's a good time. Yeah, and great group of people. Had a lot of great conversations after that. So nice job.
Yeah. Well, you're in a different attire today, different role, still doing the same thing, but through another entity. We're going to talk about that today. But fleet maintenance, it's just not a sexy one we like to talk about. But the more I've learned in my last 25 years and probably my last 10 years visiting, like traveling, these companies that really hone in on fleet maintenance seem like the ones that continue to prosper versus the ones where it's just overlooked. They're focused on all other aspects. Maintenance isn't one of those. So we're going to talk more about that. A lot of new technologies that are coming into play. But talk about Bosch, because first off, when you'd reached out several months ago and mentioned Bosch, I was like, are you selling tools or appliances now? Or are you still, you said, no, we're doing the same thing, only through them. But for those people that don't know, most will, because obviously we're in trucking, and a lot of that has to do with automotive, but who is Bosch?
So Bosch is, the company you're talking about, right? $100 billion company, 430,000 employees globally. They're the number one tier one parts manufacturer in the world. But you're familiar with their appliances and tools. Well, when you have manufacturing at the size and scale that they do, they've gotten really good at supply chain as well. So one of their divisions within Bosch is Bosch Mobility, and underneath Bosch Mobility is a product that they offer called FleetMe, which is the fleet maintenance ecosystem. And I was happy to join their team and help them build out that fleet maintenance ecosystem to start continuing to do what I was doing prior, but helping fleet customers be more efficient when it comes to managing their assets. Because as you'd mentioned earlier, there's a tremendous amount of focus on buying trucks, hiring drivers, and hauling freight, and a lot of inefficiency and maintenance and safety. And all of those profits, or a lot of those profits, go away when you can't manage your fleet efficiently.
As we've continue to build out solutions and listen to our customers, we're now on year 15 with BulkLoads, but you kind of keep hearing what the customer wants. And we went from load board to factoring to insurance to TMS, working on fuel. But over the last 4 years, we keep hearing maintenance, or a maintenance program, or a maintenance solution that's really kind of tied in or bolted in to our TMS. But we're seeing that a lot of customers are actually now demanding that. And I would say, especially when you get to that, 20 plus size. But what size and shape do you work with primarily?
So we have fleets. Our smallest fleets are probably in that 20, 25 trucks, right? And then all the way up to 12,000 trucks. So, but our sweet spot is that, once you get above 25, it really becomes unmanageable for one or two people to remember when was that last done, or, many of those fleets aren't recovering the warranty dollars that they could be recovering. So what Bosch FleetMe is not only the software to help you keep track of that, but we help the customers with that process to take a lot of that day-to-day work away from those individuals, right? So maintenance, as you mentioned, is one of the highest expenses in a trucking company. and by far the most controllable and the most ignored.
Talk about, when I think of fleet maintenance, like what all does that mean specifically? And then also I think about maintenance, like it's not just oil changes and air filters, but there's a lot of different replacements, parts, breakdowns. But talk about when you're looking at a maintenance program.
So you got everything from, what's your procurement cycle? What's your trade cycle on your vehicles? Who are you going to buy them from? How are you going to spec them? All the way to what is your maintenance process, right? What's your scheduled PMs? And then what's your breakdown process? Because you're going to break down. What's your tire process? Tires, your number one cost in maintenance. How are you managing that? Which tires are performing the best for you? And then all the way to disposal of assets, right? When are you getting rid of them? Which ones do you need to get rid of? Which brands are performing the best? All of that is encompassed in maintenance. And if you think about it, and the reason why you talked about it earlier, and the reason why a lot of people are talking about is in an organization, everything touches maintenance, because the truck doesn't move if it's in the shop. Or the truck doesn't get revenue if it's on the shoulder of the road. So, I think I spoke on the last podcast about our ultimate maintenance philosophy is to go from PM to PM with no repairs in between. So, and then if a breakdown does occur in between those intervals, what are you going to do about it? How fast are you going to get a vendor out there to get that truck up on the road for the cheapest amount to get it done, or the least expensive way to get it done? And then is it under warranty, and are you going to recover those warranty dollars? Many of those things are overlooked in the industry today, and our Fleet ME system helps the fleet manage that very efficiently.
And when you talk about Fleet ME, when you're looking at, so if I'm wanting to get stuff in the system, I guess my question is, like, does the system help you or give you feedback on when you should be, doing a tire change, or what tires, or is that just data put into there?
Yeah. So the system is smart enough using AI. We have a lot of AI embedded into the system. We have prediction embedded into the system. So it does take data to start telling the machine what needs to happen, but predictability is coming. Most fleets today are running a reactive maintenance program. Our first goal is to get them on a preventative maintenance program, and then eventually, once we get good, we're going to get them on a predictive maintenance program. But you can't go from reactive to predictive. You got to get a preventative maintenance program in there first. So using AI invoice import, for example, you're going to get efficiency, accuracy, and then using our AI insights, it's going to tell you, hey, you need to take a look at this truck because, based on your make and model, based on feedback, based on past history, you're going to need, brakes soon, or whatever the case may be.
I remember at our conference, you'd mentioned something to the effect that, still there's a lot of people changing oil, and I can't remember the number, 10,000, when in all actuality, they need to be waiting 50,000. But is that something like embedded in this maintenance program, or is that?
Absolutely. So when we deploy a fleet on the platform, we're going to take a look at it, right? And I don't ever want to tell anybody their kids are ugly, but if they're doing 10,000 mile oil changes and the oil manufacturer is telling you can go 30, why are you doing it at 10? Right? So we're going to help them understand that. And then we're going to load that into the system. We integrate with the telematics device. So it automates that whole process. It's looking at that truck every day and it's keeping track of it. A lot of fleets we call on, they're still depending on the driver to keep track of that, or the fleet owners keeping track of that. We automate that complete system.
Today, with technology and just with the use of, let's not even talk about AI, but just integrations, a lot of this data can really come from the truck, whether it's through the ELD or whatever system.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right into the maintenance department or into the back office. I guess explain to me today where we're at with technology, where it seems like a lot probably doesn't even have to be done by the driver anymore. It seems like a lot can be done, automatically.
Yeah, so I'll give you a great example. DVIRs, which is the driver vehicle inspection report that's required by the driver every day. In most fleets that don't have a solution like FleetMe, the driver's doing their DVIR through their ELD. Somebody at the company is getting that data that there's a defect. They're manually following that through the repair process, and then they're manually going back into the ELD and resolving that. We have full 360-degree DVIR integration. So when that issue comes in from the DVIR, we're going to associate that with the next repair order's done. And when that repair order's finished, it automatically goes back and resolves that issue within the ELD. So nobody inside the organization has to track that. It's all done automatically.
Interesting. Talk also when you're, I guess what I want to get to is you visit a lot of customers and you see, I guess near term, a lot of mistakes that are being made. We've kind of flushed some of those out right now, but give me some other ones. I know earlier before we started recording, you were talking about just traditionally like driver breaks down, this is how it's typically handled versus how it should be handled.
Yeah, so great example I was talking about earlier is in most fleets today, driver breaks down, he's on the side of the road. He calls into the company, hey, I'm broke down. Somebody within the company, whether it's dispatch or maintenance or whatever, takes out a notepad, writes down who the driver is, what the problem is, and then they go on to NTTS, which is a global website online, breakdown management website, or Google or something, and tries to find a vendor. With FleetMe, when the driver breaks down, they call into the company. All the company guy has to do is create a repair order. We're integrated with the telematics device. It brings up a map of all the vendors near that truck. So instead of 20 to 40 minutes to find a vendor, we're doing it in 20 to 40 seconds with our solution. So when you multiply that over the amount of breakdowns annually, you're talking about a huge amount of savings. Because we all know that truck sitting on the side of the road, one, it's the most dangerous place to be for that guy sitting on the side of the road. It's dangerous for the vendor that's going out to do that repair. The quicker you can get out there and get him going, one, revenue starts, but two, your driver satisfaction is big as well.
Just curious, what are the common breakdowns on the road that these guys are facing?
Yeah, blowing a tire, serpentine belts, multiple different things that could happen to that vehicle when it's going down the road, air leaks, brakes locking up, whatever the case may be. But tires is obviously number one.
I always know tires, but every time I see, if I'm going down, here it's 44, 65, you see, I'm always just curious, is like, wonder why he's pulled over or what's, and instantly in my mind, I'm always thinking I'm sure it's some computer defect or it's throwing a code that the truck can't run.
And it could be a regen, right? So we have the ability to manually regen the SCR system if needed as well, or the engine emissions. So
this is a curveball, but like, are trucks breaking down more today than they did in the past? For some reason, it just seems like, and I know I'm much more involved in talking with people all the time, but it just seems like people are constantly having maintenance issues. Whether it's a motor issue, whether it's a DEF issue, crappy tires. But I know I wasn't back 30 years ago in the industry, but like I hear it more today than I've ever heard it before.
Yeah, and it really depends on the fleet's maintenance process, right? So
a lot of people say that these trucks are crap today, cheap pieces of plastic going down the highway. this is the feedback that I get.
No, you're right. I mean, obviously the emissions, when you add all those emission components to the truck, it's going to add more complexity. You're going to have more issues. But the technician shortage is real, right? A lot of folks are like, oh, I got a shop and I got, a couple of guys out there, but are you auditing their work, right? Are you looking at, I paid them 4 hours to do a PM, but it broke down 2 weeks later. Well, is that a good technician? I don't know. Do you have a checkbox? Do you have a checklist of items that you want to check when it comes in from a preventative maintenance standpoint? if you don't audit their work, it's going to be very tough to, see if they're doing good, right? So how do you score the technicians? Are they staying up with training, right? Yeah, there's a lot of new components. These trucks are $200,000 now. Are you staying up with the complexity of these new vehicles? Are you getting manufacturers and vendors in to do training for your techs? So when you add all of that to a high turnover position, right? Technicians, if they haven't stayed up, they're bouncing around from job to job. You're probably going to see some more failures than normal. But tires, as you brought up, are the number one cause. I ask a lot of fleets, what tires are you running? Oh, whatever's the cheapest. Okay. Or we all know as an organization that tires are the number one cost in maintenance in a fleet. But yet I go into all these fleets and none of them have a program for checking air pressure. Air pressure is the number one cause of tire failure. But they just keep buying new tires. Why don't we get a program together to check air pressure on a regular basis? Or Fleet ME, we have a tire module that we can put sensors into the tires and we can look at them remotely if you don't get back to the shop very often. So,
just staying on maintenance and maintenance costs, is there just a metric to look at, like what your maintenance cost should be on an annual basis, or what's that benchmark? I guess if I'm thinking, if I'm a trucking company right now, and let's just say I do $5 million in revenue, my maintenance cost is X, it's a percentage of my revenue or whatever, but do you guys have a formula calculation for someone listening that they could be like, do I fall below, or am I in that, or am I probably spending more on maintenance than what I should be?
Yeah, so very, very application based, right? Not all trucking companies are the same. You're going to get heavy haul companies and guy doing, heavy, larger stuff. They're going to be a lot higher. You got your regular, teams, van drivers that are going to be significantly lower. But kind of my gut is right around 22 cents.
22 cents a mile?
22 cents a mile.
Maintenance costs.
Right. That's kind of my gut right now. Now that's ever changing, but that's kind of where my gut takes me. But again, application based, your normal van hauler, reefer hauler, they're going to be maybe a little bit lower than that. And when you get into flatbed, spread axle flat, step deck, open deck type stuff, you're going to see it a little bit higher. And then obviously when you get into heavy haul or any kind of specialized hauling, you're going to see it even higher than that. But for the majority of fleets on the road, which are van or reefer, right now I'm thinking 22 cents, you're probably going to be in a pretty good spot, or an average spot. Now, my goal, I'd like to get that down to around 15 or 16 if you run it very efficiently.
Yeah. That number sounds actually larger than I would expect. And then I think too, and we got diesel really inflated, but I look at this number and I mean, if you're getting $3 a mile freight, I mean, this is like 8%, or, it could be a pretty good little chunk of money,
It's a big piece.
Yeah.
No doubt.
It could be a really big piece. Talk about dealerships today and how they're helping with maintenance in the market. And I know we can go a lot of different ways here. You have some opinions, but just like, how are the dealers that are selling these trucks to these fleets, how are they helping with the maintenance side?
Well, it seems like they're doing a better job of staffing their shops than your traditional fleet locations are. Obviously, the dealers are going to have better training programs. They're going to have warranty work, and they've teamed up with some of the large truck stop chains to help them accommodate that warranty work. But from an overall standpoint, in my opinion, is the dealerships really want to focus on selling the trucks and then helping you get your truck back to their locations to have the repairs done. where you could probably save a lot of money by, doing it yourself or contacting, maybe one of the truck stop chains or whatever to do it and file those claims for you. So, the last time I was connected to this really close, the average time at a dealership was like 5 days, but the average repair was less than 4 hours.
Say that one more time.
So the average time your truck sits at a dealer is 5 days, but the average repair time itself is only like 4 hours. So if your revenue is $2,000 a day on that truck, you're going to sit there 5 days. It's going to cost you $10,000 in downtime to get a $300 alternator replaced under warranty.
And you said some today you can take that to other shops, but a lot of them want to get you back there, obviously.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can take it to one of the truck stop chains, for example, Love's that does Freightliner and Navistar warranty, or you can have it replaced and then take that invoice back to the dealer, make sure the driver keeps the old part, and then say, hey, this failed over the road. I couldn't get into a dealer. Can you give me a credit? And that's how warranty works, right? It's under warranty. You can't get it back. I know I bought the truck in Springfield, Missouri, but I'm in, California.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to get back? I got to get it fixed. A lot of fleets just eat that expense. Well, there's ways to get that money recouped without going back to a dealership.
Yeah, that's good. Kind of just to land the plane here, Justin. Again, there's probably a threshold where someone fits in to your fleet maintenance program. I mean, everyone should have a program, but to fit specifically into yours. But if not, for some of the guys, again, we represent a large base of small owner operators, 3 to 4 trucks, 3 to 5 trucks. Again, they should be on top of their maintenance. But if you could just give some just practical advice, things that they may not be thinking. Again, you're talking to fleets every day or trucking companies, but what are some of those 3 to 4 or 5 things that people should be doing today that may be getting overlooked?
One, air pressure, right?
Yep.
Probably the biggest ignored item. It's the number one cause of tire pressure or tire failure, and bumping them with a stick or a hammer, that's not giving you true tire pressures. Buy a gauge every 6 months or a year, throw it out, buy another one so you know it's calibrated. That's number one. 2, take a look at your oil change intervals. I mean, oil changes are $400 or $500 if you're not doing them yourself. And even if you are doing them yourself, your time is worth something too. These oil technologies and these engines run a lot cleaner than they ever did. Extend out those drain intervals. Quit wasting time and pouring perfectly good oil out on the floor. And then you'll always hear me talk about grease as your cheapest tool, right? Take the time to grease and make sure you're quality greasing each component, right? Because grease is worth a lot. And don't buy cheap grease, right? A tube of grease is $5 or $10. Buy the $10 one. Right, so buy a good quality grease, and grease can save you a lot of money.
I didn't know that on grease. I always buy the cheaper stuff for home.
There you go.
I'll take that one just for my own equipment. Justin, for people to find out more about this, we'll put it in the episode notes below, so people will be able to just drop down and click on that. But to learn more about FleetMe and Bosch, where would you like?
Yeah, just go to our website or Google Bosch FleetMe. It's all one word, FleetMe. And there's a website on there. There's an ROI calculator on there where you can put in your total trucks you have, the total trailers you have, and then if you have your own shop or not. And it's a very conservative ROI calculator. Or just reach out. You'll put my contact info. One of the things I will offer to the BulkLoads team, if they want just what we call gap analysis, so come on site, take a look at what you guys are currently doing. Maybe there's some tips we can give. Maybe our software is not a fit, but maybe there's some other tips that I can see to help you guys out. And the end game is we need to change this industry. We're doing it very antiquated. We're doing it the way we used to do it for many years. And if we want this industry to continue to be staying up with the times, we need to introduce technology. And it's not really that difficult. And at the end of the day, we're still all cool truckers. It's just we got to do it a little bit more efficiently.
We need to stop marrying our cousins like we did.
That's right.
I'll get that right this time. You're also, and I want to say this, like when you spoke after our conference, I was walking off stage with you, and you had several people come, right after,
yes,
and wanted to talk to you. But you landed several of them that were using the program, right?
That's correct. Yeah. And, talk to your friends that are on it. We can get you connected with some testimonials. We've got a lot of fleets on it. I will tell you this, that the fleets that are on it and using it well, they're not complaining about the freight rates and all of the issues like the ones that aren't. Because, if you can save a few cents a mile, bring efficiency into your maintenance process, or at least just have a process, right? Get away from that reactive and get to a preventative maintenance process. You can just make your life so much easier.
Yeah. Well, we're excited to have you at the conference next February.
Yes.
You're going to be out there again. Excited. So if you're listening to this, make sure you plan for that. Next February 7th through the 9th in 2027, we'll be back in Branson to have our bulk freight conference, and Justin will be there. So, and I just say this too, just to close out, Justin, man, I love what you're doing out there, your passion for this. Sometimes when I think of stuff like this or like a computer software, like I get all of a sudden that anxiety. But I'll say this, like you break it down in really simple terms, like you don't get over my head, and a lot of people do fast. So I think for our listeners out there, that's a testament to you. So reach out to Justin, man. Thank you so much for coming on BulkLoads Podcast again. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.